Welcome to your soul read. The work that I do in here is different than anyone else on this planet at this point. So I'm going to talk to you first just a little bit about the basics and information you're going to find out in your soul read, because this information is something that most people have never been exposed to before. So the first thing to understand is that you are way more than just a body living a day-to-day life. And if you are suffering in any way, it is because you are not aligned with your soul's highest vibrations. Now, it's hard to understand this because we live our life, we go about our day-to-day activities, we think sometimes religiously about a higher power, a God. Sometimes we even think about, well, what's my soul doing? How am I feeling? What is my life about? What is my purpose? What are my goals? What do I need to do in this lifetime? And then we think we're going to die and that's it. People come into our lives, people go. And because we are trained from a very, very young age in everything but what the soul needs, we're forced into education, we're forced to go through certain programming, we're supposed to get married and maybe have kids if that's what we decide, or we need to live in a certain place, then we take care of our parents until they die, and then we die. And all of this is actual just programming. And until one is able to open up and expand to what their soul really needs, they will have a constant feeling in their life that something is missing, something is off. They may be prone to depression. They may be prone to moments of pure ecstasy and then fall flat on their face. They may be prone to addictions. They may be prone to just this numb feeling of, what is the purpose of my life? Why am I here? You may even be in a situation that you have absolutely everything you could possibly need, and you're like, I'm just not happy. Why do other people seem to have joy and I don't have joy? So the whole purpose of this read is to take a look way deeper at a bunch of things that you most likely have never drawn all the parallels to. I was a classical, traditionally trained psychologist. I worked for years. I started with kids with cancer, and one of the things that I was always fascinated with was the dreams and drawings of terminally ill children, because I was able to predict ahead of time what was going on with them, and sometimes even their potential deaths. That interest started with me very, very young. By the time I was 15, I was already starting college. I had read through the collective works, many of them on dreams. I was incredibly interested in psychic and spiritual things. And I never felt like I fit in. I never felt like I belonged. I was always kind of half living in different dimensions. And while I could get along with everybody, I could never figure out what the purpose of life was. One of the fascinating things is on this planet today, there are more light workers, others that are called starseeds, things called walk-ins, beautiful beings, wanderers, and so many others who are here to change the dynamics of the planet. So you may have been looking at your life up until this point as you just being a body, living a day-to-day life, going through whatever you needed to go through and doing your best, being a great human being, seeing where you had some failures, knowing some things that you should work on, some addiction, some issue with food, some issue with anything. And you may actually even be going through a process of trying to figure out why you're really here. So, from the day that we are born, we have come in with a purpose. And people don't realize this because well before you were ever born, and what they don't teach in any religious school or any school period, is that you actually planned to come to this planet at this time. You actually picked your parents. You picked where you were going to be born. You picked some circumstances and issues you wanted to work on. And the reason why you picked Earth was because Earth is one of the hardest schools. And when you come here and you learn lessons here, they catapult you into future places. So, the first thing I'm asking as you hear about this read, and you may not understand one thing about what I'm telling you right this minute, try to keep an open mind. Because by keeping an open mind, what will happen is, even though you may not actually understand in your brain what I'm telling you, your soul is going to start to get excited. Your soul is going to start to get activated because it understands what I'm talking about. It wants to help you live your highest and best life. It wants you to have joy again and fun again, or to heal an illness, to heal an addiction, to heal anything that might be bothering you, and to finally understand why the heck you're here now. So, a main portion of the work that I do is pull in what your unconscious is telling you, which most people are not trained to see or understand, combine it with what you've consciously believed you are, who you are, what you do, what your day looks like, if you have any dreams and goals. I take the truth, which is what resonates in your soul and in your unconscious, which I find through especially the drawings, because drawings will go right to the heart of the issue and tell me whether you're telling yourself the truth or you're lying to yourself. And it will even show me if you have a positive projection to the future and what one needs to do to rework where you're at. It sounds very complicated, but the fact is your unconscious, which is connected to spirit and soul, which is connected to God source, or whatever you call it, all want you to achieve the best while you are here on this planet. But because none of this stuff is taught in school, and because even psychologists, I assure you, even the psychologists I worked with were so programmed and so trained, it was difficult for them to understand many of the things that I brought to them. Physical doctors do not understand necessarily, which is the reason why many, actually most people, suffer from some form of depression, are on some type of medication, and are doing what is called self-medicating through addictions. This happens because the people who are trained in psychiatry, I'm not cutting them down. It is a profession. It has its value. Sometimes medications have their value, but there are also incredible alternatives. All of these systems were put in order of how to handle your physical body, but pay absolutely no attention to what is happening with your soul. The fact is that your soul is more 99% with your body being 1%, because we're multidimensional beings having just a physical reality at this point. And I know that's really hard to understand. You'll get there if you don't get it now. So, by looking at your name, your actual birth name that you arrived with, it tells so much about who you are, the parents that you're going to be born into. Parents are going to die. so much about what was part of your soul contract when you came in. So I look at your name, your birth name, not your married name. Married names are different. I take a look at your actual date of birth, your time, your location. Why? One part, yes, astrology. Astrology is fascinating and wonderful. There are incredible astrologists out there. So there's one portion of astrology that tells you, oh, you're a Gemini, you're a Cancer, you're a Leo, and so many have very similar traits. So it is fun to explore astrology, to find out who you are and what's going on. But on another level, I go way deeper, which is to take a peek behind the scenes and whether or not you might possibly have come from a star cluster, a star nation, and if there is a little bit of extra information I can find out, I will share it with you. Now, we can't always know the information about soul tribes, soul families, star nations, all of that, because it's just not our time yet in the universe. But all of that is opening up. So more and more people are going to actually be able to recognize or feel a certain camaraderie between people you bump into. So it's kind of like you bump into them and it's like, wow, I really feel like I've known this person my whole life. And you can't figure out why. Well, maybe somewhere in your past, maybe somewhere in your future, you were all in a certain star system, whether it's the Pleiades or Sirian or Orion. Do not worry if none of these names mean anything to you. It's not important for your read. Just the fact, again, that I brought it up, it's something that will pique your interest. Even the term light worker will pique your interest because most people who come to me, because of their willingness to open their mind, are actually light workers in some realm. I look at your favorite color. Why? Because color is actually a vibration. And that vibration can tell me about where you're operating from and what is comfortable to you. I look at relationship status, number of times married, divorce, all of that. Most importantly, because a lot of people are in what are called karmic relationships. And karmic relationships are there to teach you or your partner or who you're with. Karmic relationships can be a spouse, they can be a friend, they can be a child, they can be a parent. But those karmic relationships, because they are there to teach you, are not comfortable. And sometimes they're hard. And if you stay in them, you may find that you're staying to be comfortable because it's just easier, or you don't know what else you're going to do with yourself, but it's not necessarily your highest calling. So it's always important to take a look at what your highest calling is and what will fulfill your soul. Because if you don't fulfill your soul, you're always going to have that odd, empty, I'm not happy feeling. I take a look at your current job from information that you provide for me and anything that relates to if all of a sudden you were instantly wealthy and could do whatever you wanted to do in the world, what is it that you really want to do? Is there a hobby you like? Do you adore pets? Are you fascinated by healing? Are you fascinated by this stuff? Are you fascinated by tarot? Are you fascinated by things that can't be explained, paranormal? What is it that interests you? Do you simply like to sing? Do you like to dance? Why aren't you doing the things that you like to do? What is stopping you? I will be able to see almost instantly from your drawing what it is that's stopping you. The lies that you're telling yourself that keep you stuck. And that sounds a little harsh. It's why sometimes I call these catalyst reads. But if you really want to move forward, you're going to take the time to do the most important thing, which is to learn about yourself and start to care about your soul, which will, as a result, help you care even more about your body, the vessel that is holding that incredible vibration. Because all of a sudden, little by little, you will have newfound ideas, newfound interest in where you can go and what you can do. So I have you draw 2 pictures. And then when I get this information, along with a list of any medications you may be taking, because believe it or not, medications vibrate at a certain level. And as much as you think they are there to help you, for light workers and very sensitive beings, they can hold you back. And if you've opted not to take medications, have you gone the herbal route? And what are you using to help you? If you have any addictions, just share them, because by sharing them, it's easier just to see where we can help you. And the other fascinating thing is, almost all light workers have some addiction or had some addiction. So you're not alone. And why is that? It's because we all had to keep our thoughts to ourselves, oftentimes we knew what people were thinking, but they weren't acting that way. Or we just felt like we didn't fit in, or we were out of place, or we didn't know what we wanted. And so we do what's called self-medicating. And self-medicating happens through pot, tobacco, alcohol, you name it, any of those things. Now, some things, like marijuana, was actually a gift from the stars. But the way in which it was a gift was to be used in tincture form, not necessarily smoked. Now, there is no judgment here, because life is frigging hard. And there are times that we just escape. So again, this is your beautiful little place to just pour everything out, so that we can start to bring harmony and balance back to your entire being. Now, there are those who know they're light workers and have already started trying to research where they're from, it's called a cosmic origin, a star cluster, where their soul tribe is. These are all terms that may be new to you. But the hard part is, if you are raised in a particular religion, whether it's Catholic or Christian, Muslim, whatever it may be, oftentimes you have these preconceived ideas of what you should believe. And that is one of the hardest things to break, because whether you realize it or not, you will begin to realize that it is not this big God source that is here to determine what sins you've done, or what you've done wrong, or how you need to repent. The real source is unconditional love. And that's the reason why when you're off your journey, you're just not feeling it everywhere, and you don't feel connected. So that is another reason why I do these readings. It is to help you reconnect. So if you chose the extended reading, I go further. Because I've been very intuitive, very psychic from super young age. Remember life from 6 months on. I got my doctorate by the time I was 24, so I also had a bit of an IQ there, helped push me through. So what I do is I do what's called an intuitive read. That's where I connect with my guides. It's taken me years and years and years and years and years and years and years to get to the point of being able to connect. There's your higher self. There's source being, or God, whatever you call it. There are angels and archangels. There are so many different sources out there. And believe it or not, when you come to this planet, you have a whole team. You just haven't spoken to them yet. So it may be because you're afraid. And I understand if you're afraid. but start to open up a little bit, because the energies on this planet have changed dramatically. And there is so much that most people do not know, that if you learn to do protection and focus, you can actually avoid all negative things and work simply on getting to know who was assigned to you when you arrived. You have a guardian angel. Are you talking to it? You have spirit guides. They're the ones who watch over your day-to-day affairs and help you move. And sometimes spirit guides change, because as you grow, you almost need a new master or a new spirit guide. There are the angels and archangels. Unfortunately, they are not the way that they are written oftentimes. Even in the Bible was actually changed. So it takes time to learn about the angels and the archangels, but they're here to help. You have ancestors, the reasons why you were brought into this earth at this time. Individuals, maybe you are actually even finishing some business that your ancestors couldn't finish. It is another fascinating reason why addictions happen, because sometimes you come to earth to have that addiction. Everyone before you had it, but it's your turn to stop it, finalize it, and let it go for the entire tribe before you. Healing an addiction becomes easier once you feel better about where you're at. It doesn't have to be this long, drawn-out drama that we've been taught to believe. I will help you take a look at that and give you suggestions on where you need to go if that happens to be your particular issue. If that's not your issue and you have evolved way more spiritually, then it's to really help you adjust and find out how you can be helping others, where you can go, how you can move forward, what your life might possibly look like. And when those pictures, I will take a look, joining the conscious and the unconscious, provide recommendations and suggestions. But you can invest all the time and money in the world in something like this. In the end, you have to step up. You have to be willing to try to be open to change. And the minute that you start to be open to change, you will be amazed at the signs, the synchronicities, and all the things that start to pop into your brain that will help you move forward, because Spirit is giving you the nudge that it's time, or I most likely wouldn't be in your life. So welcome to this crazy, wild ride. Have an open mind, and I look forward to looking at all of your numbers, who you are, and find out more about the incredible light being, most likely, who's in front of me that came into my path. I'm so grateful to you. Thank you.